Picture a barracks in mainland Italy. Winter, 1942. Young men rising from iron bunks in the half-light of dawn. Cards shuffle across a wooden footlocker, hands stained with rifle oil. No one speaks, no one needs to. The Carcano rifle, 7 pounds of wood and steel. Each man knows it better than he knows himself by now. Uniforms adjusted, belts tightened, every button, every crease inspected. The Army doesn't care who you are, only what you look like. Letters home. What do you write when you don't know if you'll see them again? Most men just say they're fine. Pack shouldered, 30 kilos of everything a soldier needs to fight, to eat, to survive, or try to. The corridor stretches toward daylight. Behind them, empty bunks. Ahead, something none of them can imagine yet. At the doorway, they pause, just for a moment. The familiar world behind, the unknown ahead. Italian sun hits their faces. The same sun that will beat down on them in the African desert. From above, the formation takes shape. Rows of men becoming one unit, individuals disappearing into the mass. Boots align in the dust. Small adjustments. Each man finding his mark. This is how armies are built. Canteen caps twisted tight. Buckles checked. In the desert, a loose strap could mean the difference between life and death. A chin strap bites into sunburned skin. The helmet weighs nothing now. It will weigh everything after 20 miles. Rifle slings resettled on aching shoulders. These men have carried these weapons for months. Soon they'll use them. The first step forward ripples through the formation, packs bobbing in rhythm. The march to war begins. Through the gatehouse shadow they pass. Some look back, most don't. There's no point now. The road stretches through dry countryside, dust rising behind boots. Somewhere ahead, ships are waiting. The transport yard appears, stacked crates, coiled rope, the machinery of war laid out in the open. Hands slide beneath canvas straps, veins standing out on forearms. These crates hold ammunition, food, medicine, everything. A crate rises toward the freight car door. Sunlight catches the dust, then darkness swallows it whole. Inside the rail car, crates wedged tight against iron walls, rope pulled taut, no room for error. Hemp bites into palms, sweat darkens cuffs. These men have been loading for hours. They'll load for hours more. Steel steps ring out beneath climbing boots, one man after another, ascending into darkness. They duck through the narrow doorway, packs scraping wood, eyes struggling to adjust to the shadows inside. Men scramble for space among the crates, knees tucked, shoulders pressed together. This is home now. The heavy door begins to slide, rust grinding on iron, sunlight narrowing to a slit. A last sliver of gold cuts across their faces, then it's gone. Darkness complete. The door seals shut with a final thud, just the sound of breathing now, and waiting. Outside, workers check the couplers. Everything must hold, everything must work, lives depend on it. The first jolt throws bodies forward, steel wheels bite into rails. The journey south begins. Ballast stones shiver beneath the train, dust rising along the trackside. Italy sliding past unseen. Inside, crates creak and shift with every curve. Men brace against the motion. You learn quickly or you bruise. Knees pressed into packs, fingers adjusting straps, finding a position you can hold for hours. Condensation beads on iron walls, droplets trembling with each vibration, running down into rust-stained seams. Thin bands of light strobe across dusty faces. The countryside flickering past through gaps in the wood. Through the slats, familiar fields stream by. Fence posts, pale sky. Home disappearing behind them. From the trackside, the train thunders past. Sealed doors hiding the young men packed within. No one waves. Dust rains from the roof beams. Men flinch as grit falls into eyes, into hair. There's no escaping it. A canteen rises for a measured sip. Water, precious, rationed. You learn to make it last. Outside, the sky shifts from gold to purple. Night coming, the train pressing on toward the coast. Silhouettes settle against crates in the fading light, faces becoming shadows, the interior dimming with the day. Cool night air threads through the cracks. Small mercy. Men lean toward it, feeling it on their faces. The train glides through moonlit countryside. A dark line of steel crossing fields, silver with starlight. Eyelids grow heavy, heads tilt against packs. Exhaustion claiming what adrenaline held back. A boot shifts, a knee straightens, small movements against the numbness, trying to keep blood flowing. Through a rock cut, the train passes, walls closing in, then opening again to the night sky. The echo pulses through the car, dust trembling in the dark, sound swelling, then fading to silence. Back into open country, moonlight silver in the rails stretching endlessly ahead. Most have found what sleep they can, breathing slow, even, the rhythm of wheels beneath them. At the door seam, a thin line of gray appears. Dawn coming, another day of the journey ahead. Light bands slip through cracks now, sweeping across faces as men wake in small movements. Fingers flex, shoulders roll. The brakes hit hard, bodies lurch forward, hands grab for crates, everyone suddenly alert. Station light finds the door seam, bright and sharp. Eyes turn toward it, waiting. The latch rattles from outside, then the door slides. Sunlight floods in like water breaking through a dam. They blink into the daylight, eyes streaming, wiping grit from lashes, the world outside impossibly bright. A crate chain forms on the platform, hand to hand, the rhythm of labor resuming without a word. Splintered edges dig into palms, knuckles white with effort. These boxes are heavier than they look. One by one they step down to the platform, boots ringing on steel steps, then solid ground again. They regroup beside stacked supplies, straps tightened, packs adjusted, bodies aligning to move as one. Down the exit ramp they go, leaving the platform behind, the next phase of the journey beginning. Military trucks idle in the yard, heat shimmering off hoods, canvas tarps snapping in the breeze. Tailgates are lifted into place, hinges groaning, wood meeting metal with practiced efficiency. Canvas ties cinch tight against eyelets. Fingers working fast, everything must be secured for the road. They mount the truck beds one by one, hands gripping rails, packs thumping against wooden benches. Bench seating takes shape along the sides, men settling in, finding their space for the next leg. The driver engages the gear, engine note rises, brakes release with a hiss, they're moving again. Through the yard gate the convoy rolls, iron chains rattling, the open road ahead. Roadside figures recede into the distance, watching silently. No one waves, no one calls out. Heat builds under the canvas, sweat darkening collars. Men loosen what they can and endure the rest. A canteen passes around, small sips only, the water warm but welcome. Behind the convoy, a dust veil rises, thick and choking, the trucks ahead barely visible through it. Mouths covered with scarves now, eyes narrowed against the grit. This is what the desert will be like. A buckle slips, fingers reseat it quickly. Everything must stay tight on these roads. The truck hits a rut hard, bodies bounce, hands grab rails, then the rhythm returns. Dust settles slowly inside the bed. coating everything, everyone, a fine tan film on olive green. Between stone walls, the convoy threads, narrow lanes, careful driving, no room for mistakes. At a junction, they pause and merge, engines idling, then forward again toward the coast. Speed picks up on the open road, canvas straining, wind rushing through gaps in the cover.
Something changes in the air, softer somehow, a hint of salt. The sea isn't far now. Port cranes appear on the horizon. Industrial silhouettes through the haze. The end of the road. At the harbor gate, they slow and queue. Papers checked. Then waved through into the working port. Past warehouses they roll, long brick faces, rail spurs, the smell of oil and seawater. Cranes loom overhead now, massive steel structures, the trucks small beneath them. Dock workers signal the stop, hands raised, trucks braking smoothly into position. Tailgates drop to the quay, wood thudding on concrete, the unloading begins again. Crates move into cargo nets, the same rhythm as before, hand to hand, box by box. Nets lift clear of the dock, rising toward the ship's hold, swaying gently in the sea breeze. The ship's hull looms above them, gray steel streaked with rust, massive beyond anything they've seen. Trucks empty out, last crates cleared, soldiers stepping down to wait for their turn. The gangway is set in place, ropes tested, rails checked, the crossing from land to sea.
Boots on the gangway now, metal treads clanging, hands sliding on salt-damp rails. They step onto the deck, planks slick with spray, finding their footing on this new ground. A queue forms at the hatch, men shifting packs, preparing to descend into the ship's belly. The first man starts down the ladder, rungs ringing under his boots, disappearing into darkness below. The hold opens up beneath them, dim and close, the smell of oil and old wood and too many bodies. Hammocks hang in rows, canvas stretched between steel frames. This is where they'll sleep. Men claim their spaces, settling packs, testing the hammocks give, learning the ship's sway. Above deck, the last cargo nets swing aboard, holds filling, the ship riding lower in the water. The gangway is pulled away, ropes cast off, the last connection to land severed. From the stern, the harbor begins to shrink, Italy growing smaller. Some men watch, some can't. The engine thrum deepens, open water ahead, the Mediterranean stretching blue and endless. Below deck, the motion changes, a long, slow roll, stomachs adjusting to the rhythm of the sea. In the hammocks, men try to rest, bodies swaying together, the ship breathing beneath them. Some manage to sleep, others stare at the steel ceiling, thinking of home, thinking of what's ahead. Night falls on the open water. The hold goes dark except for dim utility lights. The engine never stops. Morning brings thin shafts of daylight through hatches, dust motes floating in the beams. The canteen rises for a careful sip. Water more precious now. Land somewhere ahead or behind. On the horizon, a pale line appears, not cloud, not sky, land, the coast of Africa. The coastline sharpens as they approach, sand-colored, low, the edge of a different world. Harbor structures emerge from the haze, breakwaters, cranes, a new port, a new war. The engine note drops, harbor speed now, the ship slowing for the final approach. Soldiers rise from hammocks, gathering gear, the lethargy of the crossing replaced by tension. Up the ladder they climb, back into daylight, blinking at the brightness, Africa waiting. The harbor spreads before them, busier than Italy, louder, ships crowded at every berth. The gangway swings down to the quay, first boots stepping onto African soil. Heat hits them like a wall, different from Italy, dry, relentless, the sun impossibly bright. They form up on the dockside, packs heavy, rifles slung, ready for whatever comes next. Trucks are waiting again, different marking, same purpose, the convoy reforming for the desert. Into the truck beds they climb, the routine familiar now, settling in for another ride. The port falls away behind them, buildings thinning, the landscape opening into something vast. Sand appears at the roadside, just patches at first, then more. The desert announcing itself. The road surface changes, harder to hold, the trucks working against the terrain. Dust rises again, but different now, finer, paler, the color of bone. Through the canvas gaps, they see it for the first time. The desert, empty, endless, waiting. This is North Africa. This is where they'll fight. This is where some of them will die. But not today. Today they just keep moving, deeper into the sand, closer to the war. The convoy presses on, toward El Alamein, toward whatever history is planned for them. These are the men Italy sent to Africa, young, determined, unaware of what the desert would demand. The road stretches ahead, the same road that will bring survivors home, or not. For now, they are just soldiers in trucks, watching the sand, feeling the heat, waiting for orders. Fingers cinch canvas ties against wind. Rope fibers bite metal eyelets. The convoy prepares to move again. Engines rise, tires bite sand and throw dust backward. The convoy pulls out, regaining its rhythm. The horizon wavers, a mirage band shimmers where sky meets sand. Distance becomes meaningless here. Eyes scan the empty flats through canvas gaps, looking for what? They don't know yet, just looking. A bootlace comes undone, fingers work quickly in the bouncing bed, small problems still matter. Through the haze, something changes. The land rises slightly. They're getting closer to the line. Canteens pass hand to hand, water warm as blood. They drink anyway. You take what you can get. The truck's slow. Dust catches up and swallows them briefly, then clears, a checkpoint ahead. Papers checked, faces studied. The bureaucracy of war continues even here at the edge of everything. Beyond the checkpoint, the road narrows, tracks in sand. Other convoys have come this way before. A plane passes high overhead, too high to identify. Everyone watches until it disappears. The landscape changes. Scrub gives way to pure sand, the desert finally showing its true face. Sweat soaks through collar and cuff. There's no escaping the heat, only enduring it. Scattered equipment appears at the roadside, abandoned or cached, the residue of other days. The convoy slows again, hand signals passing truck to truck, something ahead they need to see. First glimpse of the defensive line, trenches cutting across sand like wounds. This is it. Trucks stop at a dispersal point, tailgates drop. Boots hit ground that men will fight for. Formation on the sand, packs adjusted, rifles checked. The transition from transport to infantry. A guide appears, weathered face under a battered helmet. He knows the way. They follow. Single file toward the trenches, spacing maintained, lessons learned from men who didn't. The trench edge appears, a dark line cut into pale sand. Descent into the earth begins. Ladders down into shadow. The temperature drops 10 degrees, a small mercy in this place. Trench floor underfoot, packed sand and scattered duck boards, the architecture of static war. The passage narrows. Shoulders brush revetment boards. Men funnel through one by one. A dugout entrance appears. Low timber lintel forcing heads to duck, shelter of a kind. Inside, cramped bunks and stacked gear. The smell of oil and sweat and old wool. Home now. A lantern throws amber light on a map table. Fingers trace lines without speaking. Everyone watches. At the firing step, the first look downrange. Wire and sand stretching to the horizon, the killing ground. A patrol begins along the trench line, moving single file. Rifles carried low, muzzles safe. The observation post, a periscope slit looking out at nothing that moves, watching anyway. Sand trickles from the parapet edge, always trickling. The desert reclaiming what men dig. A distant thud, then another. Artillery finding its range somewhere beyond the horizon. Faces turn toward the sound, calculating distance, direction, everyone learning to read the war. Night falls differently here. No gradual dimming. The sun drops and darkness rushes in. Moonlight on the wire. Silver threads in black desert. Beautiful if you forget what it means. Sleep comes in shifts, never deep, always one ear toward the parapet, listening. A flare rises somewhere distant. White light, freezing shadows for seconds, then darkness again. Morning brings heat before the sun clears the horizon. The desert remembers yesterday's temperature. Stand to at dawn, every man at the firing step, the most dangerous hours of any day. Nothing comes, not today, but the ritual continues. Tomorrow might be different. Breakfast is tinned meat and hard biscuit, water, rationed. Hunger becomes background noise. A work party begins repairs, sandbags split by yesterday's shelling. The trench always needs fixing. Letters arrive with the ration party. Some men get 3, some get none. Both hurt in different ways. The afternoon stretches endless. Heat shimmering, men finding shade where shade exists. A shot rings out, single, distant. Everyone freezes, waits. Nothing follows. Life resumes. Evening brings relief from heat, but not from tension. The line holds, for now. Another night in the trenches, stars impossibly bright. The same stars shining on Italy. Days blur together. Wake, watch, work, wait. The rhythm of holding ground, you can't give up. A patrol goes out after dark, through the wire, into the space between. No one speaks. They return before dawn, 2 fewer than left. No explanation needed. The wire knows. Reinforcements arrive, fresh faces asking questions. The veterans don't answer. They'll learn. The artillery grows closer, more frequent. The enemy probing, testing, looking for weakness. A direct hit on a traverse, sandbags erupting, men scrambling, the trench suddenly shorter. Stretcher bearers work in the aftermath, quick and careful, some wounds you can see. Repairs begin before the dust settles. Fill the gap, rebuild the wall, keep the line intact. Night brings another patrol, same mission, different men. The rotation continues. Word spreads through the trench, an attack expected. When? No one knows. Soon. Equipment checked and rechecked, ammunition counted, bayonets fixed, the waiting sharpens. Dawn comes gray with dust, visibility poor, perfect conditions for what's coming. The barrage begins without warning. The world becomes noise and flying earth and prayer. Heads down below the parapet, counting seconds between impacts, learning the pattern. A shell finds the command dugout, timber splinters, the map table becomes kindling. Through the smoke, movement, shapes advancing, the moment arrives and thought stops. Rifles up, sights aligned, the training takes over, squeeze, don't pull, breathe. Muzzle flashes along the parapet. Disciplined fire into the advancing shapes, hold the line. The first wave falters, bodies dropping into sand, but more behind, always more. Ammunition depletes, hands working bolts, loading, firing, the rhythm of survival. A breach in the wire, enemy soldiers pouring through, the fight becomes personal. Hand to hand in the trench, no room for rifle work. Bayonet and entrenching tool. The counterattack pushes them back, barely. The trench held, but at what cost? Counting heads in the aftermath, names called, silences where answers should be. The wounded evacuated, the dead collected, the line repaired again. Night falls on a different trench, same sand, same wire, fewer men to hold it. Reinforcements trickle in, not enough, never enough, but you fight with what you have. Another day begins, same routine, but everyone knows now, the enemy is serious. Shelling resumes at irregular intervals, keeping heads down, keeping nerves raw. A sniper claims 2 men before noon, shot through the head, clean and quick. The periscopes become essential. No one looks over the parapet anymore, not directly. Food runs short, half rations, then quarter. Hunger joins the list of enemies. Water becomes precious, canteen discipline, absolute. A sip here, a sip there, make it last. The nights grow longer, or seem to. Time stretches and compresses without logic. Another attack comes at dawn, smaller, probing, repulsed, but taking pieces of the line. The wire gaps widen, repairs made with what's available. Not enough wire, never enough. A messenger runs the trench, orders from headquarters, hold at all costs, as if there was a choice. The men don't need orders to know. This ground matters, they'll hold or die holding. Afternoon brings a lull, both sides exhausted, catching breath before the next round. Letters written in the quiet moments, just in case, words for people who might never read them. A plane appears low, strafing run along the trench, bullets kicking up sand in a line. Heads down, hands covering necks. Nothing to do but wait for it to pass. It passes. One man hit. Through the shoulder. He'll live if infection doesn't take him, if he's lucky. The evacuation parties work in twilight, carrying out what the war leaves behind. Another night, another stand to. The enemy doesn't come. The tension doesn't ease. Morning reveals fresh craters in no man's land. The artillery never stops, not completely. The trench wall sags, sandbags rotting, timber cracking. The desert doesn't want fortifications. Work parties shore up what they can, fighting the land as much as the enemy. A rumor spreads, relief coming. No one believes it, but no one stops hoping either. Days measured in ammunition counts and casualty lists, the mathematics of attrition. Another attack, stronger this time. The line bends but doesn't break, just barely. In the aftermath, bayonets cleaned, rifles wiped down, the rituals of continuing. A position lost on the left flank, the line adjusts, contracts, holds what remains. Darkness brings the enemy closer, sounds in the wire, maybe real, maybe imagined. Flares go up, illuminating nothing or everything. The enemy ghosts back into shadow. Sleep becomes impossible. Cat naps at best, every man running on empty. Food arrives sporadically, cold, unidentifiable, eaten without question or complaint. The wounded accumulate faster than they evacuate. The dugouts become aid stations. A direct hit on the communication trench. The link to the rear severed. They're on their own. Runners volunteer to cross the gap. Most don't make it. Some messages get through. Word comes back. Reinforcements delayed. Hold position as if there was anywhere else to go. Another dawn. Another attack. The pattern established. The pattern maintained. The enemy presses harder now, sensing weakness, probing for the breaking point. Ammunition critically low, shots counted, targets chosen carefully, make each one matter. A breach in the wire again, defenders rush to seal it, bodies meeting bodies in dust. The fight continues in close quarters, no time to think, only react, survive. They push the enemy back again. Fewer defenders, fewer rounds, smaller victories. The line contracts again. Positions abandoned. Fighting for meters now, not kilometers. Night offers no relief. The enemy attacks in darkness too, learning from their failures. Flares burned constantly, shadows jumping. No one trusts their eyes anymore. A runner makes it through. News from headquarters. Retreat authorized finally. But retreat to where? Through what? The planning begins in exhausted whispers. Demolition parties prepare. What can't be moved must be destroyed. No gifts for the enemy. The last perimeter established. A smaller circle. Tighter. Easier to defend. Harder to escape. Equipment prioritized. What goes, what stays, what burns. Hard choices made quickly. Wounded evacuated first. Those who can walk help those who can't. The line thins further. Rear guard volunteers needed. Men who know what it means. Hands go up anyway. The first groups slip out at nightfall. Moving quiet, moving fast, heading for the fallback line. Behind them, the rear guard holds, making noise, drawing attention, buying time. The enemy senses movement. Pressure increases on the shrinking perimeter. Position by position, the rear guard gives ground, slowly, deliberately, making them pay. A machine gun nest holds until overrun. 3 men, 30 minutes, time bought with blood. The last defenders fall back through prepared routes, mines and wire covering retreat. Explosions mark demolitions, supply dumps, communication equipment, nothing left useful. The trench they held for weeks disappears behind them, sand already filling it in. Movement through darkness, following the men ahead, trusting the route is clear. Wire obstacles they built themselves now pass through gaps they left. Strange geometry. Enemy fire follows but doesn't find. The night provides cover, for now. A mine detonates behind. Someone trips something. The screaming doesn't last long. They keep moving. Can't stop, can't help. The rules of retreat are brutal and clear. First light finds them in open desert, exposed, vulnerable, but still moving. The fallback line appears on the horizon. Fresh trenches, fresh wire, a chance to stop. What remains of the company assembles. Roll call takes seconds, too few names. The new position offers rest, brief, precious. Men collapse where they stand. But the war doesn't stop. Already artillery ranges on these new coordinates. Fresh units share the line now. They look at the survivors differently, with something like awe. Ammunition resupplied, food distributed, water, blessed water, enough to actually drink. The wounded evacuated properly now. Medical stations functioning, hope for some. A day passes without major attack, then another. The enemy consolidating too. But everyone knows the next push coming, the line will bend again, maybe break. Letters written in quiet moments, different now. The men who write them changed. Replacements arrive, young faces asking questions. The veterans share what they can. The desert spreads in all directions, indifferent. The same sand receiving friend and foe. Night brings stars and silence, a brief peace before whatever comes next. Morning brings the routine. Stand to, breakfast, repairs, the rhythm of holding on. A patrol reports movement, the enemy repositioning, something building out there. The waiting resumes, harder now, knowing what's coming, knowing they can't stop it. Sandbags filled, wires strung, positions strengthened, doing what can be done. The officers huddle over maps, planning for contingencies, preparing for the worst. Word spreads quietly. Another retreat possible, another line behind this one, maybe. The men don't need to be told. They see the ammunition stocks, count the faces, know the odds. But they dig in anyway, improve positions, check weapons, the habits of soldiers. A last mail delivery, letters from home, photographs passed around, reminders of why. Some men pray, some men curse. Some men just sit quiet, staring at nothing. The artillery opens again at dusk, preparatory fire, the attack coming soon. Heads down, hearts racing, the final stand beginning whether they're ready or not. Through the smoke, shapes advancing more than before, the full weight of the enemy. Rifles up, discipline holding, despite everything, fire when targets appear, conserve rounds. The first wave breaks on the wire, bodies catching, hanging, but more coming behind. Automatic weapons hammering, barrels hot, ammunition burning through faster than planned. A Position overrun on the right. The enemy inside the wire now, inside the line. Fighting spreads along the trench. No front anymore, just chaos and survival. Bayonets fix, the last resort becoming necessary. Steel meeting steel in close quarters. Men falling on both sides. The trench becoming a grave for everyone in it. A small group holds a junction, refusing to die, refusing to retreat, just refusing. Hand to hand in the dark. No rounds left, entrenching tools and fists and teeth. The enemy pulls back briefly, regrouping, taking breath. The defenders do the same. Counting survivors, counting rounds, the numbers don't add up to holding much longer. Word comes, final retreat, now. Move or be overrun, no other options remaining. The withdrawal begins under fire, covered by whoever has ammunition left. Through communication trenches, through gaps in wire, through darkness and dust. Behind them, the rear guard fights and falls, buying minutes with their lives. The enemy follows, close, too close, but doesn't catch. Not quite. Not yet. Open desert again, running now, no formation, just movement toward the next line. Some don't make it, caught in the open, the sound of their ending, sharp and brief. The survivors reach friendly wire, hands helping them through, voices they recognize. Collapse comes as soon as safety arrives, men dropping where they stand, empty, done. What's left of them? A fraction of what deployed, the cost of holding ground counted in faces. The new line already digging in, another defensive position, another stand to make. Water and food and rest, basic needs met, but the eyes stay distant, changed. Doctors tend wounds, some visible, some not, both kinds slow to heal. Days pass in the reserve area, rebuilding strength, rebuilding numbers, rebuilding units. Replacements arrive. The veterans watch them with something between pity and envy. Training resumes, basic skills refreshed. The Army makes soldiers out of survivors. Letters home. What to say, how to explain. Most men just write that they're fine. The desert remains, patient, endless, waiting for whatever comes next in this war. From somewhere comes word, another push coming, another line to hold or lose. The cycle continues, men moving toward another battle, the same men or new ones. Trucks loading again, convoy forming, the road forward leading back to the line. They've been here before, they know what's coming, they go anyway. That's a job. Canvas sides cinched against wind, engines rising, the convoy moving toward whatever waits. Through dust and heat and endless sand, Italian soldiers and trucks going to war. The desert stretches in every direction, no beginning, no end, just the road and the mission. Somewhere ahead, the front line, somewhere ahead, the enemy, somewhere ahead, the future. These men will face it as others faced it before, as others will face it after. The trucks press on, through shimmering heat, through doubt and fear and duty. Whatever comes, they'll meet it. That's what soldiers do. That's what these soldiers do. The convoy disappears into the dust, becoming silhouettes, becoming memory, becoming history. This is North Africa, 1942. This is the war they were given. This is how they fought it. The device at the barrier lip jolts. Tread vibrations spiking through stone. Everyone holds their breath. A flash and roar, downrange, dust geysers skyward. The mine has done what it could. Through settling dust, the silhouette still moves, damaged but advancing. It wasn't enough. Word passes without speaking, eyes meeting eyes. Everyone knows what comes next. Withdraw. The first men slip back through the fold, low and fast, the barrier abandoned. Position by position, the line unravels, not panic, procedure, the discipline of giving ground. Behind them, the armor grinds forward, crushing what they built, erasing what they held. Through communication trenches, they flow, the geometry of retreat already mapped. A junction, a choice, left toward the trucks, right toward another stand, they go left. Dust and smoke provide cover, small mercies in the chaos. Keep moving, don't stop. The wounded slow everyone down, but no one gets left. That's the rule, that's the code. A stretcher catches on a trench corner, hands lift, adjust, continue, seconds matter. Enemy fire finds the trench line, sandbags erupting behind them. Too close, move faster. The sky fills with noise, artillery walking toward them, someone calling coordinates. They pour from the trench mouth into open desert, exposed but moving, the only option. Trucks appear through the haze, engines running, tailgates down, salvation on wheels. The loading happens fast, no order, just bodies piling in, wounded first, then everyone. Canvas sides barely secured before wheels turn, the convoy lurching into motion. Through the dust cloud they accelerate, leaving the line behind, leaving the dead behind. The enemy doesn't follow, not yet, consolidating their gains. The race continues anyway. Inside the truck bed, men slump against each other, too tired to sit up, too wired to sleep. A canteen passes, no one counts sips anymore. The rules have changed, just survive. Through canvas gaps, the abandoned positions shrink, smoke rising from what they built. The convoy threads through staging areas, past supply dumps being torched. Nothing for the enemy. A plane passes overhead, friendly, covering the withdrawal. Small comfort in large chaos. The road improves. Harder surface, more speed. Distance growing between them and the front. A checkpoint. Quick counting, quick assessment. Wave through. Keep moving. The wounded sorted for evacuation. Those who can continue, continue. Those who can't, don't. A brief halt for water and ammunition. 5 minutes, 10 at most, then back on the road. Convoy reforms, shorter now. Some trucks going ahead, some going nowhere. Dust rises behind them, the eternal companion, marking their passage across the desert. Hours blur together, the landscape unchanging, sand and rock and shimmering heat. A soft sand patch, wheels spinning, men dismount to push, then back aboard. Continue. The convoy finds its rhythm again, spacing maintained, the routine of organized retreat. On the horizon, a ridge appears. Landmark and waypoint, they're heading the right direction. Activity ahead, dust plumes converging, a staging area taking shape through the haze. The convoy slows, approaches, other units gathering, the rear consolidating. Trucks peel into assigned lanes, engines drop into idle. The immediate danger past. Tailgates drop, boots hit ground, a different ground farther from the line. The wounded transferred to medical tents, stretchers moving with purpose, help available now. A head count, names called, more silences than answers, the cost becoming clear. Food appears hot this time, a luxury almost forgotten. Men eat standing or sitting or lying down. Water distributed, real water, not the warm dregs of a canteen, clean and cool. Rest authorized, not long, but real rest. Men dropping where they stand. The staging area fills with survivors from a dozen units. The line contracted this far back. Officers gather, maps spread, the next defensive line being drawn. The planning continues. New orders come, another position to prepare, another line to hold, the cycle unbroken. But for now, rest. Brief, precious. The survivors taking what the war allows.
Night falls on the staging area. Quieter than the trenches, but not quiet.
The artillery rumbles in the distance, the enemy advancing, taking what was abandoned. Tomorrow brings another movement, another position, another chance to stop them. The men don't think about tomorrow, they think about now, this moment, this rest. Some manage sleep, real sleep. For the first time in days or weeks, they've lost count. Others sit and stare, processing or not processing. Everyone handles it differently. Letters home will wait. For now, just being alive is enough. Just breathing is enough. Morning comes, the staging area stirs, the brief rest ending, the war resuming. Formation on the sand, fewer men than before, but enough. There's always enough. New orders read, new positions assigned, the next phase of the retreat mapped out. They mount the trucks again, the routine familiar, the destination different again. The convoy rolls, another day in the desert, another movement away from the line. Through the dust they travel, toward another stand, another line drawn in the sand. The desert doesn't care who wins, it will bury them all eventually. That's its nature. But these men aren't buried yet. They're still moving, still fighting, still alive. And as long as they're alive, there's hope. That's what soldiers tell themselves. That's how they continue. The convoy presses deeper into the rear. The front line growing distant, but never gone. Somewhere behind them, the enemy advances. Somewhere ahead, another defense waits. Between those 2 points, these men ride, carried by the trucks, carrying the war with them. The wounded need attention, bandages changed, pain managed, what can be done, done. Medical supplies running low, triage decisions made, the calculus of scarcity. At the rear depot, proper aid stations, doctors who've slept, equipment that works. But the road there is long, and the wounded must hold on just a little longer. The convoy adjusts speed for the worst cases, a balance between urgency and damage. Another checkpoint, papers examined, wounded, counted, priority given for the worst. Through the checkpoint, the road opens, the depot visible now on the horizon. Tent lines and supply stacks, parked vehicles and moving figures, infrastructure of retreat. The convoy enters the depot perimeter, other convoys converging, the army consolidating. Trucks peel off toward medical tents, the wounded finally reaching real care. The rest continue to processing, head counts, equipment checks, the bureaucracy of survival. A washing station ahead, water and soap, the first chance to remove the battle's film. Trucks queue for the washing lanes, engines dropping to idle, canvas covers relaxing. Straps unbuckle, gear loosens, the anticipation of clean skin, clean clothes. Boots drop onto dampened ground, the dust already giving way to mud here. A line forms toward the rinse point, shoulders sagging, fatigue finally allowed. First into the spray, water hitting dust-caked uniforms, the battle washing away in sheets. And scrub faces, water running brown with dirt and dried blood, clean skin emerging. Boots rinsed, cuffs cleaned, the accumulated grime of weeks dissolving in minutes. Fresh uniforms issued, not new, but clean. The difference is everything. Gear cleaned and checked, rifles wiped, ammunition counted, ready for whatever's next. Hot food served in a mess tent, real plates, real utensils, the markers of civilization. Men eat slowly, savoring, or quickly, starving. Everyone handles it differently. Bunks assigned in tent rows, canvas roofs, but real cots, luxury beyond measure. Rest authorized, real rest, 8 hours, maybe more. The army finally generous. Sleep comes hard for some, the silence louder than the shells, the stillness strange. Others drop into unconsciousness instantly, bodies demanding what minds denied. Night in the depot is quiet, distant artillery, closer snoring, the sounds of safety. Morning brings no alarm, no stand-do, just sunrise and breakfast and time to think. The depot operates around them, convoys arriving and departing, the war never stops. But for these men, a pause. Processing takes days, they'll wait here, rest here. Letters written with clean hands, words easier when the body isn't fighting for survival. Mail arrives, letters from home, news from a world that seems impossibly distant. Some news is good, family safe, jobs held, life continuing back there. Some news is not, deaths, illnesses, the war at home fought with different weapons. The men process both kinds quietly. The depot provides space for grief and relief alike. Days pass in the depot, strength returning, weight regained, the body healing. The mind takes longer, but there's time here, or what passes for time in war. New orders will come, they always do, but for now, just recovery, just rest. The depot fills and empties in waves, units moving forward, units moving back. These men wait their turn, their next assignment forming somewhere in paperwork. Training resumes, basic drills. The Army doesn't let skills rust, even in recovery. Weapons cleaned until they gleam. Equipment maintained until it shines. Standards kept. New faces join the unit. Replacements for the gaps. Fresh meat for the grinder. The veterans watch them. Remember when they looked like that not long ago. A lifetime ago. Integration begins. Names learned. Habits observed. The unit rebuilding itself. Stories shared carefully, enough to teach, not enough to terrify. A balance maintained. The new men ask questions, the veterans answer some. Let others go unanswered. Days become weeks. The depot becomes routine, almost like normal life, almost. The war continues somewhere else. Artillery audible some nights, a reminder of unfinished business. Finally, the orders arrive. New assignment, new position. The pause ending. Trucks load again. The routine resumed. The convoy forming for another journey. This time, not retreat. Redeployment. The line stabilized somewhere ahead. They're going to hold it. Through the depot gates they roll, the recovery ending, the war resuming. The desert welcomes them back, unchanged, uncaring, the same sand, the same sun. But these men have changed, harder now, quieter. The desert couldn't break them. They'll face whatever comes. They faced it before. They'll face it again. The convoy threads through the rear areas, passing supply points, passing other units. Toward the line, toward the enemy, toward whatever history still demands of them. The desert stretches ahead, miles of nothing, miles of everything, the road to war. Night falls on the moving convoy, stars emerging, the same stars that watch them retreat. Now watching them advance, or at least move forward, the direction that matters. Morning finds them closer, the line visible now. Fresh works cut into ancient sand. The trucks stop at the dispersal point. The final walk begins. Boots on ground, they'll defend. Through communication trenches to their positions. The new line, their new home. Familiar layout, similar construction, different sand. The war repeating its patterns. Equipment distributed, positions assigned. The routine of establishing defense. Night brings stand-do, morning brings work parties. The cycle unchanged, the location different. The enemy's out there, somewhere beyond the wire. Closer now than when they left. But here in this trench, in this moment, they hold. That's what matters. That's all that matters. The war continues. The men endure. The story goes on until it doesn't. And somewhere, someone will remember what they did here. The sand won't, but someone will.
The days lengthen. Fighting resumes. The line bends but holds. Holds but bends. Losses mount. Replacements arrive. The unit transforms and remains the same. Victory small. Defeat smaller. The mathematics of attrition calculating toward an end. But no one knows that end. Not yet. They only know today. This patrol, this meal, this rest. The war that seemed endless will end. But not for them to know. Not for them to see. They just keep fighting. Keep holding. Keep surviving. That's the job. That's the only job. And then word comes. The end arriving without warning. The fighting stopping. Cease fire. Stand down. The line holds because no one is pushing anymore. Silence falls strange on ears tuned to artillery. The absence of death louder than its presence. They stay in position. Orders say wait. So they wait. Guns down but ready. The confirmation comes. It's over. This part anyway. The African campaign concluded. What comes next, no one knows. But this part is done. They survived this part. Processing begins again. Different paperwork. Prisoner accounting, casualty tallies. The numbers are staggering. But they're still here. Still standing, still breathing. Trucks arrive for transport, not into battle this time. Out of it, away from it. The loading is quiet. Different than before. The urgency of combat replaced by something else. They leave the trenches behind, the sand reclaiming what men dug almost immediately. Through the desert they travel, past positions held and lost and held again. The landmarks of their war sliding past, remembered and already fading. Toward the coast, toward the ships, toward whatever comes after Africa. The port appears like a mirage, real this time, ships in harbor, passage home. Not home exactly, not yet, but away from here. That's enough for now. The boarding is orderly, discipline maintained. They're still soldiers, still an army. The ship's hold is familiar. Different ship, same arrangement. Hammocks and waiting. The harbor shrinks behind them, Africa diminishing to a line. Then nothing. Open water surrounds them. The Mediterranean indifferent to who crosses it. Days at sea, the rhythm of waves replacing the rhythm of war. Adjustment difficult. Some men sleep constantly, catching up on what the desert stole. Others can't sleep at all. The horizon stays empty. No convoys, no escorts needed. The sea is friendly now. Land appears. Different land. Homeland, the coast of Italy emerging from haze. The harbor approaches. Familiar cranes. Familiar architecture. A world they left a lifetime ago. The ship docks. The gangway extends. The first steps onto home soil. But it's not home yet. Processing, medical examination, documentation. The army isn't finished. Through gates and checkpoints they flow. The bureaucracy of return nearly complete. Trains waiting. Passenger cars this time. Seats instead of cargo holds. A luxury noticed. The countryside slides past. Green. So green. The eyes forget color in the desert. Towns and villages. People going about their lives. A world that kept spinning while they were gone. The station appears. Their station. The platform where this journey ends. The train stops. Doors open. Boots touch familiar ground. The circle nearly closed. Through the station they walk. Past civilians who don't know. Can't know. Won't know.
The gate stands open, morning sun casting shadows, the threshold to what comes next. A hand touches the iron, cold and real, a marker between what was and what will be. Then release, steps forward, the gate shrinking behind, the street widening ahead. Somewhere home waits, changed or unchanged, ready or not, it doesn't matter.
They walk toward it. Whatever it is now, whatever they are now. Walking forward,
war stays behind them, in the desert, in the trenches, in the sand that buries everything. But they carry pieces of it, always will. The desert doesn't let go easily, neither does war. And in a room somewhere, sunlight falls on an open pack, in a folded uniform, a keepsake on wood. The silence holds what words can't. The light touches what hands once held. The story ends where all stories end. With what remains, with what endures, with the morning sun making visible what the night kept hidden. This is how they came home. These men who crossed the desert, this is where their war ended. Not with a bang, not with glory, with sunlight on familiar things, with silence in a room. With the slow work of remembering and the slower work of forgetting, both happening at once. The war's over, for them, for now. The desert already forgetting they were ever there. But someone remembers. Someone always remembers. That's why we tell these stories. That's why they matter. End of journey, end of film, end of the record of young men who went to war and came back changed. Or didn't come back at all. Both stories matter. Both stories true. Both stories part of this one. Through the depot gates they roll, the recovery ending, the war resuming. The desert welcomes them back, unchanged, uncaring, the same sand, the same sun. But these men have changed, harder now, quieter. The desert couldn't break them. They'll face whatever comes. They've faced it before. They'll face it again. The convoy threads through the rear areas, passing supply points, passing other units. Toward the line, toward the enemy, toward whatever history still demands of them. The desert stretches ahead, miles of nothing, miles of everything, the road to war. Night falls on the moving convoy, stars emerging, the same stars that watched them retreat. Now watching them advance, or at least move forward, the direction that matters. Morning finds them closer, the line visible now. Fresh works cut into ancient sand. The trucks stop at the dispersal point. The final walk begins. Boots on ground, they'll defend. Through communication trenches to their positions, the new line, their new home. Familiar layout, similar construction, different sand, the war repeating its patterns. Equipment distributed, positions assigned, the routine of establishing defense. Night brings stand-do. Morning brings work parties, the cycle unchanged, the location different. The enemy is out there somewhere beyond the wire, closer now than when they left. But here in this trench, in this moment, they hold. That's what matters. That's all that matters. The war continues. The men endure. The story goes on until it doesn't. And somewhere, someone will remember what they did here. The sand won't, but someone will. Days pass on the line, the routine establishing itself, the familiar becoming normal again. Patrols go out and return. Shells fall and are survived. The arithmetic of war continues. The sea crossing begins at last, ships loading in harbor, the return journey starting. Africa shrinks behind the stern, a continent of memory, a desert of ghosts. Open water stretches blue and endless, the same Mediterranean, different direction. The hold is quiet, men sleeping, men thinking, men becoming something else. Days blend into each other, waves and waiting, the ship carrying them toward home. Land appears on the horizon, Italy emerging from haze, the shape of familiar coast. The harbor grows larger, cranes and breakwaters, the architecture of return. The ship slows, harbor speed, the approach to berth precise and careful. Mooring lines snap taut, engines fall quiet, the crossing complete. The gangway extends, the first boots touching Italian stone, home soil at last. Down the quay they march, past warehouses and rail spurs, the port processing their return. Through gates and checkpoints, papers stamped, identities confirmed, soldiers becoming men again. The rail yard waits, passenger carriages this time, seats by windows, civilization resuming. The train pulls away, the port shrinking behind, home getting closer with every mile. Green countryside slides past, the colors almost painful after months of sand. Villages and farms, people who never left, a world continuing while theirs stopped. The rhythm of wheels on track, different from trucks on sand, softer, more forgiving. Night falls on the moving train, familiar darkness, safe darkness, no shells, no flares. Morning brings more countryside, more green, more life, the desert a fading memory. The station approaches, their station, where families wait, where life resumes. The train slows, brakes squeal, the platform appearing through steam and dust. Doors open, boots descend, the last steps of the longest journey. Through the station they walk, civilians watching, not understanding, how could they? The gate stands at the exit, iron and morning sun, the threshold to everything after. A hand touches cold metal, pauses, the weight of everything that happened, pressing down. Then release, the hand pulls away, the feet move forward, life continues. The street opens ahead, familiar buildings, familiar stones, changed and unchanged. Walking toward home, toward family, toward whatever shape peace takes. The war stays behind in Africa, in memory, in the spaces between words. But pieces come home too, in nightmares, in flinches, in the way eyes scan horizons. The desert doesn't let go, not completely, not ever. That's the price of surviving. And somewhere in a room with morning light, objects wait, pack and uniform and keepsake. Still there, still real. The anchors to a life before the sand. Sunlight touches each one, illuminating fabric, revealing dust, marking time past.
The room holds its breath, waiting for footsteps, waiting for the door to open. And when it does, the story doesn't end. It transforms, memory becoming life again. The pack will be unpacked, the uniform folded away, the keepsake placed where eyes find it. Small rituals of return, small ceremonies of survival, the grammar of coming home. The men who came back aren't the men who left. That's the truth no one speaks. But they're here, that matters. They're breathing and walking and trying. That matters too. The war is over. This chapter anyway. The book stays open. It always stays open. The desert waits, patient, eternal, indifferent to who lived and who died. But these men walked out of it, carried each other out of it. That's the story. Not victory, not defeat, survival, the most human story of all.
And in the end, that's what remains. Not the battles, not the lines held or lost. Just this, they went, they fought, they came home, or didn't, and someone remembers. The screen goes dark. The narration ends. What remains is what always remains. Memory and silence.